I participated in a male-dominated leisure activity in order to get my own perception of why some women choose to invest their time in the sport of boxing. By actively participating in the most popular and internationally known sport, I wanted to find out the truth behind why boxing has always gave more opportunities to men than women. That's saying, let's look at the history of women's boxing and explore this together. A historical perspective of women's boxing. First and foremost, boxing is a sport in which two individuals fight each other by throwing punches only using their fists. This is a sport where two people are aggressively engaging in a competition to see who can last the most rounds fighting in the ring. Boxing can be traced as far as the Greeks, and it has always been considered a masculine sport. It was first introduced at the 1904 Olympic Games in St. Louis, but women boxers would not receive any notoriety until the 90s. However, women have been boxing for centuries. It's just that the media has always been nervous about showing women engage in a sport where the goal is to knock out your opponent. In 1876, the first ever reported female boxing match in the United States was held in the New York Hills Theater between Nell Saunders and Rose Harlan. The top prize was a silver butter dish. 1904. Men and women's boxing is introduced at the modern Olympic Games in St. Louis, while women's was not. 1954. History was made when Barbara Buttrick became the first female boxer to have a fight broadcasted on national television. 1975. Ava Shane became the first female judge in professional boxing. She was one of the judges between the Muhammad Ali versus Ernie Shavers fight. 1975. Nevada issued the first documented female boxing license in the United States to a woman named Carolyn Svensson. She paved the way for other women in other states to earn their licenses as well. Because of the gendered expectations society places on women, women interested in boxing often experience discrimination. Women who wanted to box had fewer opportunities. They were considered weak, delicate, and a laughingstock. Many believed that women could not tolerate boxing, and others said they were just concerned about women's breasts being hit. However, these were only excuses that were meant to keep women centered in the home and away from sports that exemplified masculinity. In a study conducted by Lafferty and McKay, he mentioned that by exhibiting aggression and force, women boxers challenged the ideals of emphasized femininity. Women and boxing today. Films that feature women boxers, such as Girl Fight and Million Dollar Baby, have given women boxers more media attention that has helped them fight the negative stereotypes. Camila Foja's article called Sports of Spectatorship describes how, before the invention of cinema, prize fighting was a purely homosocial sport where men boxed and men watched. However, today, it has gained a larger audience, including women who have always felt as outsiders. Furthermore, when Muhammad Ali's daughter, Layla, whose nickname is She Be Stingin', history was made once again. Layla was the first female to receive the most media attention in the sport of boxing. Many would believe that Layla paved the way for other fighters to be more exposed and interested by the public. It was the late 90s when a new culture emerged and women boxers were more respected. The implementation of Title X encouraged more women to not be afraid to challenge society's ideals and participate in a traditionally male sport. According to Colvin Young, in 2000, there were more than 1,500 female boxers registered with the Olympic Committee in the United States. Just 3 years ago, in 2009, the IOC had a goal, which was to increase the participation of women in the Olympics. One goal they had in mind was to have women box for the first time in history. Female fighters from different countries fought for the medals, and our very own Clarissa Shields, who is only 17 years of age, won the gold. All of this evidence from the past and new changes shows how there is something powerful undergoing in women's boxing. For a particularly aggressive sport such as boxing to be considered something women can participate in somewhere as prestigious as the Olympics is amazing to me. I think that women athletes have been demanding for the same prestige that men received, and they are slowly getting it. Our society's norms have changed drastically, and I strongly believe that they will continue to do so in terms of women's leisure activities. Women's boxing will continue to evolve as this year marked history with the first women boxers competing ever in the Olympics. I believe the majority of the public no longer perceives women as showing anger when engaged in a traditionally male sport like boxing. It's simply a natural passion in some women that must be allowed. Therefore, when Oates from the Journal of Philosophy of Sport says that boxing is for men and is about men and is men, she is clearly mistaken in the eyes of many female boxers, including myself. I think that boxing fits into the traditional ideals of leisure because men are seen as violent when compared to women, and boxing is a violent sport. When in the ring, your goal is to knock out your opponent and cause damage. Women are not perceived as individuals who want to cause harm to others. Instead, we are viewed as soft and caring. In addition, traditional women's main duties were to take care of their children and household. On the contrary, their husbands were the ones who had the free time to be outside the home and work. According to Cove and Young, many leisure activities have been designated masculine or feminine based on social expectations regarding the gender of the applicant as opposed to the natural abilities of either sex. In addition, those that argue that boxing is a masculine activity believe that it is inappropriate for women. As Connell best describes it in his article called Documenting the Female Experience, for a woman to enter a typically masculine position like that of a boxer, they must be acting within the interests and desires of men. This process is not immediate and unfolds gradually. This is why I believe some women have constraints to engage in such a sport like boxing. When some women enter a boxing gym where the majority of people are men, they can feel slightly uncomfortable. However, if you ignore the established gender norms of the sport, then you pass. My boxing experience. Speaking of boxing, I was uncomfortable because I felt I was too feminine to engage in the sport. I had problems engaging in the proper stances, but soon enough I got out of my comfort zone. The workout is definitely a challenge, but it's by far the best. I am now a member at this boxing gym and I feel like I'm part of it. This experience has changed me, boxing has made me a different person, and I recommend everyone to go take a class.